Welcome to our small channel. We may be small in number, but we are powerful in clarity, intention, love, and divine alignment. Everyone that finds this space is meant to be here. There are no accidents. There is only energy, and energy always finds its way home. Before you lie 8 cards, 8 messages. 8 emotional layers between you and the one your heart still whispers about when no one else is around. These cards are not random. They are connected to you energetically from your soul to theirs. And please remember, energy is fluid. Roles can reverse. Feelings can mirror. Take what resonates. Leave what doesn't. This reading is for all signs. Starting from the top left, we have top row left to right, Wheel of Fortune reversed, 8 of Cups, 6 of Pentacles, and the Fool reversed. Bottom row left to right, 8 of Wands, 10 of Pentacles, 4 of Wands, and 4 of Cups. Now let's begin. Individual card meanings. Wheel of Fortune reversed their emotional energy. Right away, the first energy we see from the person on your mind is the Wheel of Fortune reversed. This is someone who feels like something in their life spiraled out of control. In the past, this connection likely felt destined. It probably had that feeling where the two of you met and something inside both of you said, "This feels important." But when the Wheel of Fortune appears reversed, it tells us that at some point, this person began to feel like life was moving faster than they were ready for. They may have felt overwhelmed by the emotional depth of this connection. Sometimes people walk away not because they stopped loving someone, but because the relationship forced them to face parts of themselves they weren't ready to confront. Right now, this person may feel like timing went wrong, like the universe placed something powerful in front of them, and they didn't know how to handle it. And looking into the future, this card shows someone who continues to replay the past in their mind, wondering, what if I had done things differently? 8 of Cups, their withdrawal. This card tells a very emotional story. The 8 of Cups represents someone walking away from something that once meant everything to them. This person didn't leave because there was nothing there. They left because there was too much there. Sometimes people abandon love when it becomes emotionally overwhelming. When they start realizing that loving someone requires emotional maturity they haven't developed yet. In the past, they may have felt deeply connected to you, but at some point they withdrew. They pulled away. They emotionally distanced themselves. Right now, this card suggests they may be living with loneliness they don't talk about, because the 8 of Cups often represents someone who walks away from love only to realize later that they walked away from something meaningful. 6 of Pentacles, their motives and guilt. Now the third card in their row is the 6 of Pentacles. Side by side with the 8 of Cups, these two cards tell a deeper story. The 6 of Pentacles speaks about balance, giving, and receiving. But when it appears in this position, it often reveals a painful realization. They may have started realizing that you gave more love than they did. Maybe you were the one showing consistency. Maybe you were the one trying to build something real. And this person may now recognize that the emotional scales were not balanced. Sometimes when someone realizes they didn't treat someone as well as they should have, they carry a quiet guilt. This card can show someone who wonders if they took your love for granted. And now we reach the last card in their row, the Fool reversed. This card is incredibly revealing. The Fool upright represents taking a leap of faith into love. But reversed, it represents someone who is too afraid to jump. This person may have cared about you deeply, but when it came time to take a real emotional risk, they hesitated. They doubted. They second-guessed the future. Sometimes people sabotage love not because they don't feel it, but because they fear the responsibility that comes with it. The Fool reversed can represent emotional immaturity, fear of commitment, or someone who wasn't ready to grow. Top row energy, their hidden emotional story. When we step back and look at this entire top row, something very emotional becomes clear. This is someone who did feel something real for you, but they were not emotionally prepared for the depth of the connection. The Wheel of Fortune reverse shows timing issues. The 8 of Cups shows emotional avoidance. The 6 of Pentacles reveals guilt about imbalance. And the Fool reversed reveals fear. This person may still think about you more than you realize. But their biggest struggle has always been their own emotional readiness. Now let's move into the bottom row. This row represents you, your heart, your healing, your growth. 8 of Wands, the emotional shock. The first card representing you is the 8 of Wands. This card often appears when something in a relationship happened very quickly. Maybe things moved fast in the beginning. Strong attraction. Deep conversations, a feeling that everything was unfolding rapidly. But this card also represents sudden emotional change. For many viewers, this card reflects the moment when everything suddenly shifted. Maybe communication stopped. Maybe something unexpected happened, and you were left trying to understand how something that felt so strong changed so quickly. Now look what sits next to it. 10 of Pentacles, what you wanted. Side by side, these two cards reveal something important about you. You weren't looking for something temporary. You were looking for something real. The 10 of Pentacles represents stability, family, loyalty, and long-term commitment. This shows that your intentions were genuine. You may have seen a future with this person. You may have imagined building a life together. And when someone has that level of emotional sincerity, heartbreak can feel especially deep. 4 of Wands, the love that was possible. Next, we see the 4 of Wands. This card is one of the most beautiful relationship cards in tarot. It represents celebration, emotional safety, and partnership. This suggests that the connection between you two had real potential. There may have been moments where everything felt aligned. Moments where you felt like you had finally found someone who understood you. But sometimes relationships that feel meant to be fall apart because one person is not ready to build the life the other person sees. 4 of Cups, your healing process. This card often appears after heartbreak. It represents reflection, withdrawal, processing emotions. You may have spent time questioning everything, wondering why things unfolded the way they did. But this card also represents emotional awakening, because during this quiet period of reflection, many people begin to realize something powerful: their worth. Sometimes the universe removes someone from our lives not as punishment, but as protection. Now let's read these cards vertically. The Wheel of Fortune reversed above the 8 of Wands shows sudden changes that neither of you expected. The connection may have felt like destiny at first, but timing and emotional readiness disrupted the flow. The 8 of Cups above the 10 of Pentacles shows emotional misalignment. You were ready to build something lasting. They were still walking away from emotional responsibility. 6 of Pentacles above the 4 of Wands shows imbalance in giving. One person may have been giving more love than they received, and the Fool reversed above the 4 of Cups shows fear meeting reflection. While they avoided emotional risk, you began learning deeper emotional wisdom. Now let's talk about the final column, the Fool reversed and the 4 of Cups. This combination suggests that the future of this connection depends heavily on emotional growth. If this person continues to avoid emotional responsibility, the connection may remain unfinished in their heart, but not fully realized in reality. But if growth occurs, there is still unfinished emotional energy here. The universe sometimes brings people back together when both hearts have matured. But sometimes the lesson is simply learning what kind of love you deserve. Overall energy of the connection. When we look at the entire spread, this relationship appears to have been deep but emotionally uneven. You approached love with sincerity and long-term intention. They approached love with curiosity, but also fear. And sometimes the most painful relationships are the ones where the feelings were real, but the emotional timing was not aligned. So let's review the message of this reading. This connection was meaningful. You may have seen a future with this person, but the person on your mind struggled with emotional readiness. They may still think about what was lost. Meanwhile, you have been going through a journey of healing and self-realization. And the lesson here is powerful. Sometimes the deepest love we experience arrives not to stay forever, but to show us what our heart is capable of feeling. And once you know the depth of love you can give, you should never settle for someone who cannot meet you there. And remember something important. Love that is meant for you will never require you to shrink yourself, question your worth, or chase someone who is unsure. The universe has a mysterious way of guiding hearts toward the connections that are truly aligned. And if this person is meant to return, life will create that moment naturally. But if not, then trust that somewhere ahead of you is a love that will recognize your heart immediately and choose it without hesitation. Because the right love never runs from something beautiful. It protects it.